Okay guys, let's get started using Gravit Designer. It is a program that's going to be the most similar to Illustrator that we can get for free at home, especially using a Chromebook. So when you start a new project, there's a few options here. Make sure you're on New Design, and you could go to print and get the paper size, but they're in millimeters, so it's a little bit harder to actually interpret by inches what that is. You can convert it if you'd like, but the easier way is to go at the top of the page here and change the option to inches. And remember, 13 by 19 is the largest that we can print in the classroom. However, don't think about keeping it to a 13 by 19 poster every single time. You might be making a brochure, a flyer, something that's a different size. So whatever you are designing, I would look up a custom size for that you can add in. It also doesn't have to be a perfect rectangle. It can be a square, it can be a circle. You can cut part of it out at the end. So think about that as you are deciding the size of your space. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up a 13 by 19 inch space right now to get started. Okay, and just like Illustrator and Photoshop, you can drag and drop images in, especially for your reference images. You can also add images here through the top. But I am going to add in this poster design template that I'm going to use as the basis of my design and put it right into my space. My move tool is going to be the arrow key up here at the top. I can use it to drag my item around and stretch it. Notice that when I stretch it without holding shift, it does distort it. If you hold the shift key, it does keep it proportionate. So if it is something that you are trying to keep exact, make sure you do hold that shift key down. And that's the same as Illustrator. Okay, so now I have my design that I'm going to be working from here in the background. You can see that it created a layer here. I'm going to lock that layer just so I don't end up moving it around later and make a brand new layer above it to start on. As I start my design, I want to make sure that I have something in the background, some kind of color in the background to build up from. So starting with my shape tools up here at the top, I can grab that rectangle tool and drag a rectangle that is going to be the size of my space. The color options are on the right hand side here, so I can choose my fill color. If you are using Adobe Color, you can copy and paste your color code in here. I am going to choose just a soft green for the background of my page. Okay, so that's my layer 0. Again, I'm going to lock that layer, and since I'm going to be using that layer template, remember that you can always hide your layers temporarily so that you can see what's going on below. Okay, so I've locked my rectangle and layer 0, and I'm going to go ahead and make another layer now on top of both of those. So looking at my division of space here, I want to use from this template this nice shape that goes down and cuts through on the rule of thirds. So just like Illustrator, we have our pen tool here. I'm going to start at the edge of the page. I'm going to click and drag. Remember to use as few anchor points as possible as you're creating any shapes that you're drawing from. Connect down to the bottom here, and then finalize the rest of the page. Connecting back to the starting point. Notice that just like Illustrator, it tells you when you're going to touch that starting point by the small white circle that's going to appear next to the line. Okay, so here's my shape. It's set to a white fill. I want to change that fill. So go to my move tool to be able to select my shape that I just created. And I can grab a darker green. I can also change the border, which is our stroke, if I want to have a stroke on the outside of it. Maybe to a higher point range just so that it stands out. Okay, and I can see that my line is a bit bumpy here. So going back to my pen tool, as long as my shape is selected, I can use my pen tool to click on any of the anchor points that I've created and drag them. So just to verify that it's a nice and smooth edge here, you can go in and adjust that as needed. Okay. So much smoother now. I can see what my whole design looks like again if I unhide that layer. Okay, and I want to add in a frog that I found earlier to my design to actually draw with my pen tool. So I am going to lock this layer and my path layer and make a brand new layer above it to be able to draw the frog on. And I have the image saved here again on my desktop. I'm going to drag and drop it in. And tilt it. Because I want him to be sitting on this curved edge. You can kind of see that the branch he's on is going to mimic the edge of my page. And just so that this picture doesn't move, I will lock it. Okay. And lock my layer. Okay, again, make another layer above it to be able to draw because I will be deleting this reference photo later. Control plus allows you to zoom in, or Command plus if you're on a Mac. And just like we've done before, you want to start from the biggest areas of your design and then move forward to the smaller details because you can always hide those layers as we go and build up. So using my pen tool, I'm going to start with the largest area of the frog, which is probably going to be his back as well as his stomach. So I'm going to start with the green and put the white in front of it. Okay, and then I can connect back to that starting point and change my fill to a green that I want for the frog. And on the frog, I don't want any stroke color, so I'm going to click on the stroke color. And turn it off. Okay, so there I have the green, and if it is going to distract me at all, I could always hide that layer so that I can see below it, or I can turn the opacity of it down temporarily. I can put it at like 40%. So that I can see through to that layer that I'm going to be creating above it, and always go back later and turn it back up to 100%. Whatever's easier, whether it's hiding the layer or turning it down on opacity. So let's go ahead and make another layer above, and we'll lock layer 3 temporarily, coming back to that layer again to pull back the opacity. So on layer 4, I will draw the white area of his stomach. Okay, and it's not exactly that bright of a value, so I'm going to tone it down just a little bit. And again, hide that stroke color. And I'm going to then make another layer above it.